In Hadassah, we also take special pride in watching our young physicians taking on world leadership in their fields. And when they stand up to give back to Hadassah by taking on challenging leadership roles, we are moved and gratified. So I am especially honored to introduce Professor Tamar Peretz, Interim Director General of the Hadassah Medical Organization, to the delegates of this National Convention of Hadassah. Professor Peretz came to Hadassah as a medical student and has gone on to a brilliant career as a physician and widely published researcher in the field of breast cancer. For the last 2 decades, she has headed the Charette Institute of Oncology, where a third of our patients are taken care of. But in addition to her medical and managerial skills, she's a woman of great heart and profound vision. And I must add, she is the first person to hold this position as a full-fledged member of Hadassah. Please join me in welcoming Professor Tamar Peretz.
Thank you very much. Good morning. It is a great honor and pleasure for me to be standing before you today as the Interim Director General of Hadassah Medical Organization, one of the greatest centers of healing, teaching, and research in the world. I'm grateful to Hadassah WZOA for the trust that you have placed in me at this critical time for Hadassah Medical Organization. Like all of us, I have mixed feelings being away from Israel. At home, a war is going on. Wounded soldiers are being treated at Hadassah Hospital. Missiles were directed to Hadassah and Kerem. Fortunately, they were intercepted by the Iron Dome, the Iron Kippah, as we call it. But like all of you, I'm very glad to be here among the greatest supporters of the State of Israel. We too are at an important moment in history. Yes, here in Las Vegas, as we stand together for Israel and for Hadassah. I was born in Poland to parents who had gone through World War II. My mother was a lawyer and a judge. My father was an officer in the Red Army fighting the Nazis. They taught me about right and wrong, about persistence, about fighting spirit, compassion, and above all, kedushat achaim, the value of life. This is why I became a doctor and devoted my professional life to the treatment and research of cancer, first as a physician and for the last 2 decades as the head of the Charette Institute of Oncology. Patients from all over Israel and also overseas are treated in Hadassah, some of them with innovative therapies developed at Hadassah. Hadassah has been my home since I completed my Army service, hard to believe 4 decades ago. I started my medical school in the best medical school in Israel and one of the best in the world, right after the Yom Kippur War. In the Hadassah Medical School, I met my husband. I completed my residency at oncology, and I also had my 2 daughters born at Hadassah. I spent 2 intense and challenging years in Manhattan, working in the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. I returned to Israel, determined to implement everything I had learned and to make sure we were providing the same compassionate, professional, and innovative therapies. But there is another element at Hadassah that we did not have in New York: a fighting spirit and a family spirit, the spirit of the family of Hadassah. HMO, thank you. HMO has come through a deep financial crisis and is now at the beginning of a robust recovery plan. The agreement we, HWZOA and HMO, signed with the government of Israel is nothing less than historical. It guarantees HWZOA's ownership of HMO. It recognizes the deep appreciation and gratitude to HWZOA for the establishment of modern medicine in Israel, for the wonderful intellectual and physical infrastructure in daily healing of patients, together with innovative research and leading medical education programs in medicine, dentistry, nursing, and paramedical fields. The agreement establishes covenant between the people of Israel and the Jewish people abroad through HWZOA. A few examples of successful research projects that we are engaged in. Professor Eitan Kerem, the head of Division of Pediatrics, has developed new directions for treating cystic fibrosis. Professor Michal Lotem, whom you saw on the empowerment film last night, has introduced an innovative vaccine for melanoma with the potential for treating other kinds of cancer as well. Professor Rami Mushayov, a world expert in trauma, has developed a membrane that enables bones to heal in difficult and complicated fractures that simply wouldn't heal before. Our human resources are our most powerful resource. You, throughout all the years, have supported and helped develop the human spirit, allowed us to lead in these achievements. Fulfilling the recovery plan is not simple, but it is possible. With much thought, change will have to be made in manpower, and services need to be streamlined. In parallel, we have to develop a stronger emphasis on patient-centered care. The Sarah Wetzman Davidson Tower is already making it possible. How pleasing it was to hear from the families of the wounded soldiers how much they loved the tower. We need help to complete this process. No one has to tell you how urgent moving into the underground operating rooms is. The ancient thought and defined that there are 4 elements in the world: the earth, the water, the air, and the fire. 3 of these elements are materialistic, but the fire is spiritual. Why the ancients put together 3 materials with the spirit? They understood the importance of the fire to light and activate the material elements. The material, the wisdom, the education cannot work without the fire, the passion behind the material. We at Hadassah will strengthen the fire. You are the fire that can never be extinguished as we travel this road together. I would like to thank you again for your help, your devotion, your wisdom, your passion, and your support, and also for the fire behind everything that we are doing. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. And now let's see some of the outstanding work being done in cardiology at Hadassah.
The name of the game is speed. The name of the game is dedication, and the name of the game is doing it right. Time is crucial, it's critical when having a heart attack. The time from arrival to the hospital till the artery is open is about 34 minutes. It's the shortest in Israel, and I think it's one of the shortest time in the world. Patient suffer from a heart attack, he's got a chest pain, calls Magen David, They get as fast as possible to his house, do the diagnosis, and it's a matter of minutes. They immediately call our physicians, weekend or nighttime. They actually turn on the system. And when the patient arrives to the hospital, the team is already at the cath lab ready to work. And it pays. Our medical center is well known for the excellent medical research that is done applying the knowledge that we get from our patients. It helps us in developing new ways of treatment that would improve our patient health. This may actually sound like science fiction, but now you don't need to open up the chest, no open heart surgery, no use of cardio bypass machines in order to replace the aortic valve. You can get through the groin by puncture and bring the valve to its place, open it up, and there is a new functioning valve. TAVI, or TAVR as the Americans are calling it. We have started doing TAVI in Hadassah almost 6 years ago. We're almost pioneers in this procedure and taking good care of our patients in a minimally invasive way. Actually, just recently, I got calls, emails, phones from Hadassah ladies in the US asking me, Chaim, can you refer us to physicians that are doing your procedure? And I said, of course. Ephraim Zurov, the famous Nazi hunter, who's actually our hero. He's the one for whom the old Nazis cannot go to sleep because they know that he's still hunting.
I would characterize my job as one of the most frustrating jobs in the world, not only because of the danger, but because of the practical obstacles that I face in trying to bring these people to justice. Out of the blue, one morning I woke up with incredible pain in the chest and back, and it turns out I had a heart attack and was hospitalized. I'm married, I have 4 children, 9 grandchildren, and 2 more on the way. An attempt to put in a stent had failed. And I realized that if that stent is not put in, I'm always going to feel as if I'm like a ticking bomb. And I consulted friends who knew the staff at Hadassah, and they recommended Professor Chaim Dannenberg.
We struggled with this closed artery, and we were successful. It took us a little time. It took some new technology and a lot of perseverance.
He succeeded. You could say restoring me to not only full health, but a confidence in my health.
Here in Hadassah, we can take good care of our patients. If the patient arrives fast to the hospital, we can do almost anything. When you're giving money and donating to our equipment, to our facility, and when I'm saving lives here in Hadassah, I'm part of you and you're part of my team here. The people of Jerusalem, the city of Jerusalem, deserves to have the best cath labs. And I think that the new cath labs in the Sarah Westman Davidson Hospital Tower would help us provide the best medical care to our patients. It goes directly to taking good care of the people of Jerusalem, people of Israel, and saving lives.
I would like to add something that wasn't in the film. The first patient on the filming day was a woman. The ambulance crew reported that a woman in her 90s was on the way. But when we checked her, she was not 90. She was only 68. That's what heart disease can do. She had diabetes, she was overweight, and she was poor. She was an immigrant from the former Soviet Union. To make matters even worse, she did not go to the hospital on Shabbat when she started not to feel well. Not because she was religious, but because women often do not take good care of themselves. On Sunday, when she got to Mount Corpus, near where she lived, she had a heart attack right there, and she was rushed to Interim. Thankfully, we were able to save her life. But her heart attack could have been prevented. Women in Jerusalem are not taking preventive actions. We see them with advanced heart disease, and they are more likely to die because of that neglect than men we see coming in. We know that women within a hospital after heart attack die twice the rate of death is twice as men within the hospital and 3 times more within 30 days after heart attack. Heart disease in women is different. Along all the years, all the research, all the studies on heart disease were done on men. And it's only in recent years that we understand that the physiology, the anatomy behind heart disease in women is completely different. This is why Hadassah's new Linda Joy Pauline Cardiovascular Wellness Center for Women Division of Cardiology is so important. It will provide us the ability for research and for better treatment for women, better education, and better prevention. I would like to congratulate you here in Hadassah for your vision to do heart health program. In Hadassah, we're also doing research in heart disease. One of the leading research programs is on stem cells. Most of the work until now is being done on small animals, and this is led by Professor Ronen Be'eri. And I'm sure, again, that with your passion, with your fire, and with your help, we will continue this research.